Hey guys, Nate here, living my expat lifestyle. Today's subject, I want to talk about poverty and what it is with you guys. Currently, I'm in the beautiful Rojas City. So monetarily, yes, there's not a lot of industry in the Philippines. They have call centers, which is a huge industry. They do a lot of domestic production of like pork and obviously fishing. But it's an island nation, so they have to import a lot, which is expensive. As far as education goes, college is very popular here. It's very common. Their college appears to be much different than our own, where their students are actually going to class 6 days a week, 5 days a week, for 8 to 10 hours each day. When I was in college, it wasn't that. You basically would show up, you do your classes, and a majority of your work was all outside of the classroom. Whether it be studying research papers, reading books, things of that nature. Whereas they still have homework. I've seen them out late at night, out in their porches, the college people doing all their work. So they take their college very seriously here, and it makes sense because they have to work pretty hard to get there. Now, granted, college isn't nearly as expensive as in the States, but they have generally less of a means to be able to provide that for themselves and their children. So a lot of them do rely on scholarships and scholastic achievements during their high school years. So they're educated. Maybe not necessarily with the way that we think of like critical thinking, planning, things of that nature, but as far as their career fields go, they are highly educated as a nation. Which, when you look at what we consider wealth in the States, a lot of it does have to do with what they call socioeconomic status, which is your social is in there with education, right? You can see that things might be in a little bit disrepair. But if you've never lived by the ocean, you don't really understand the damage that salt water does on buildings, on paint, on metals. And it generally just deteriorates everything faster. Any of my Navy buddies could tell you that. They just out there painting the ships all the time. And there's less of a means to clean things. So you'll see less sanitary practices because you have to keep in mind the daily wage. It varies, but you're looking at like in some of the more bigger cities, like 450 pesos a month. And when your bottle of mop cleaner and your Lysol spray and all that costs you a day or two wage, do you think you would be cleaning very much? Probably not. Maybe wipe down things with water and a rag. But as far as like sanitizing it or sterilizing it, you wouldn't get a lot there. Which also gives the presentation of poverty. One of the things I came to realize is that in a way I have poverty. So one of the things they'll first ask you is, obviously what's your name, where are you from? But then they almost immediately ask you about your family. And one thing that they're extremely rich here, extremely wealthy, is family. They have these giant compounds, right? That's what they call them, compounds. It's not like a Nebraska militia thing, right? Or a Oregon militia thing. It's literally they own a plot of land, and each family member, whenever they get married and have children, end up building a little house in the compound. And then they live together as one giant family, but with each individual family unit as their own thing. Or sometimes they live in the same house too, don't get me wrong. But they're extremely wealthy and family. That's also one of the things they'll usually ask you right off the jump, which lets you know what they value, is, are you married? Do you have children? Where's your family? And I think a lot of Westerners, they're poor when it comes to things like that. What's one of the first questions they ask you in America? What do you do for a living? While it's important to know somebody's skill base and what they can do, that being one of the first questions really lets you know what the value is. Money and what can you provide. But their wealth just isn't just family. It's their entire community. One of the ways that I can tell that they feel bad for me is that they'll ask, who are you here with? Another first thing that usually pops up, because what's important to them is their community and the people they're with. And when I tell them that I'm alone, that I travel the world alone, I can see like the sadness in their eyes, their pity. Because what matters to them is family, community. And when they see somebody like me, they have pity on me. It's very, not in like a bad way, you know. But they understand what's important, and they see that I don't have what's important to them. Instead, I have that more modern, but uniquely American independence. They don't want that. Even if you talk to them, the ones that are trying to get to other countries to go make money, to go bring it back to the family, they always go, or not always, but most of the time they go somewhere where they already know somebody. If they have a cousin somewhere, or a friend, or a classmate, or something to that effect, that's usually where they will go. Because that community is so valuable to them. So when we talk about Filipino poverty, you might see that A, they don't really have much of a retirement system to speak of. They don't have a lot of welfare that's done through the government. But one thing you'll understand when you get here is that Filipinos don't die of hunger. Somebody will always be around, whether it be through the church, through their community. Somebody's going to feed them. They might go without shelter if they've burned enough bridges. But as far as starving to death, it won't happen here. Not to mention that you've got food that just grows on the trees, and oysters and clams and all sorts of mollusk right within walking distance of the beach. The infrastructure programs they have here, as far as like community areas, you'll see it throughout my videos. Everyone's hanging out at the park together, whether they're dancing, whether they're just hanging out talking, whatever they're doing, they have the community there. And their government usually spends a lot of money on the common spaces for the people. Whereas maybe you look at the West and you think, what does your government spend their money on, or your money on, your tax dollars? Is it beautiful community areas that are well patrolled and well policed? Is it providing jobs to people that maybe wouldn't be able to work a normal job cleaning up and cleaning those parks? Is that what they spend their money on? I guess that depends on what country you're from. Are they poor? Monetarily, comparatively, yes. But when it comes to what matters, no, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Do you get to live somewhere like this? I don't think so. And if you do, how much are you paying for your little house on the beach, Mr. Rich Man? Because I guarantee you they ain't paying that. Do you get to live in a nice, safe, homogeneous environment where the children can go play out in the ocean completely unsupervised? Where your wife or your daughter can walk through town completely unharmed, without a worry, really? If you live out in the country, yeah. Yeah, my hometown, very safe. You walk around day and night, no problems. But if you live in a city of this size, no, you're not letting your children play unsupervised. You're not letting your wife and your daughter walk around day or night, really. But here, they walk around at night. Granted, you see certain things and you might be a little nervous or apprehensive, like when you see the military walking around or the police walking around with their M16s or their submachine guns. But that's actually just a sign of how much more safe it is, right? They can afford this giant police force to patrol and keep everyone safe. In fact, as I sit here, we've got 2 police officers sitting right down there at the park. When you go into town, you'll see their trucks, you'll see all their little convoys of police vehicles. Never felt like for a second I'm unsafe walking around at night. Now, granted, it's not everywhere, right? There's dangerous areas every country you go to. That goes back to the case of poverty. Your safety and security is a source of wealth. If your government's providing you security and safety while still allowing you to have freedom, I think that's pretty wealthy. So I would ask you, if you're in downtown Chicago, downtown New York, downtown Los Angeles, San Francisco, do you feel safe? Do you feel secure? Do you feel like if somebody's going to commit an egregious act on you that the perpetrator will be held responsible? Do you feel like they'll get justice? Do you feel like your justice system even works? They have these large communities. Something that I think we've kind of lost our way with is large communities that all get together, that work with each other on common goals. You know, you go to events like I've been to the last few days, and you can really see that they're a cohesive community. I see how they threw the concert, the rock mob, and I think back to my own time trying to throw concerts and help out the local music scene when I was living in Indianapolis. Majority of people didn't show up that, should be part of my community, should be supporting me. If you lived over here, it would be that way. But here they meet up in their barangays, they meet up in their townships, and they all support each other with whatever kind of event they got going on, whether it be their kids doing their music or marching bands or dance recitals. They all support one another. Even their politics was like that. I found that very interesting when I was over there checking out the barangay captain election. You know, they get together in these big groups and they have the large meals that Budify you saw in the video I did. They'll get together and karaoke and play games. And they all support each other. They're really high level of community workmanship. And I think that's kind of something a lot of the Western countries are missing. Should we record each other recording each other?
Yes.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, so we're just showing these street lights. These are actually solar.
What? Oh, what is it?
These
Oh,
lights.
oh, all solar?
Yeah. It's all the way from there to there. It's all solar.
Oh, that's cool. Oh, so you guys are videotaping them whenever they come on? Yeah, I was.
So we were trying to like videotape the lights.
How's it working out for you?
I mean,
You
it's
got a
good.
while till they come on, yeah?
Yeah. And you were the subject as you were walking by.
Oh, good man, good man. I see. You see a handsome target. You're like, all right, I got it. I'm joking.
That's what we want. That's what we want.
So you guys work for the mayor?
Not like directly.
They're not poor. They're extremely wealthy. Just not in the way that you find important, or that culturally you think is important. I heard a saying long ago where it says, earn in the West, spend in the East. Your money goes further here. But then you also have the community, the friendliness, the safety and security that is a source of poverty in America.